a broad explanation what we'll do. Okay, so to those of you, okay, no. One person says yes, some of it, no. So, all right. So the thing is that nobody has read it, which is also fine. It's going to be talking about African values and African culture and values is what and it's a very easy read. And if you read this, don't try and read it now because you will lose both ways. Usually, most of you think you can keep notes in class. The notes you keep in class, by the time you get home, you can't even understand what you were trying to say. If you listen and pay attention, you go back and read. It's a very easy read. At the most, maybe 45 minutes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to also help you understand what is there. Having said that, before I continue, this is a class about African humanities. There's no doubt about it, I'm an African. And I am guided by what I had learned from my young age. One of it is, I see we all have modes of communication. Some of it non-verbal. I have been in class once and I saw a few students put their legs on a chair and I'm seeing the sole of their feet. That is a curse in the Yoruba language, in Yoruba culture. You are cursing me. And every time I look at it, I try to avoid it. Because I go into my conscience, I have not done anything. Why is this student putting her feet up? So these are cultural norms. I have lived with it. Sometimes it upsets me so much that I get home and I tell my parents that, look, I've come to class to teach, and there's a student who puts her leg up for me to see her feet. It's a curse. So there are things that you don't know, and sometimes we don't say it, we just take it in. So the African culture has different ways of communicating. We can talk, sometimes just our body gesture will be what you want to see. And you will communicate something. I will just take it in, because I know that this is a multicultural class. There are people who have no idea of what the African culture is about, and this is an American setting, so it doesn't really matter. The second thing that I do is when we do a job like teaching, the African believes that it's a very sacred duty. You have been entrusted to the care of human beings and spirit beings. In America, it doesn't work that way. You're just all human students. That's all you are. But for the African, we see you through the lens of both a body and a spirit. And when you do not do what you're supposed to do, to make the students do what you're earning a living for, there's a repercussion to it. And so, when you hear me say things like, you didn't come to class, it is because that's what is expected of me as a teacher in the African context. In the American context, all you just need to do is give the student a grade. But in our case, it's a little more than that. So I'm going to show you what this whole paper is. I have a schema that I have put together, and it's going to allow you to see okay. First and foremost, this is like what I have in here. There are variants, I didn't take all of them, especially the fact that we've read articles that point to some of it. So if you look at issues to consider about human beings on the African continent, you will be seeing things like African humanities. I choose to say human beings on the African continent. There is the culture. The culture is divided into two. Usually when people talk about culture, they tend to focus on the tangible, things they can see. The buildings. What we've done so far is to look at the buildings and how the buildings reflect the culture of those who constructed or designed it or lived in it. So we have that, the material. You can feel it, you can touch it. The plates they eat with, the cups they drink with. I'm going to show you a video and you're going to see a little village setting of what some females had to go through. So when you talk about culture, there's a material culture and there's a non-material culture, which has to do with the belief, with the values. And you will remember that when we were looking at Ali Mazrui, he talks about aesthetics and he also talks about cosmetics. When I researched further into that, I found out that it was not exactly true that the cosmetics came before aesthetics. For the portrait of it, yes. For the portrait of it, Ali Mazrui was using, because they sounded like cosmetics and aesthetics. Aesthetics is what you value and the philosophy of what is beautiful. If I ask you, what is your definition of beauty? I don't think that you will be able to put it into words. Can you put your foot down, please? Please. Right. Yeah. The whole idea of beauty is not what you're looking at. It is what you're told. It is what you have been told is beautiful that you react to. It's not what you see. So the philosophy of aesthetics is about what we value, how we value it. If I just draw something now on the board, just put anything, and I take it to the museum, there are people who might look at it and say, this is a masterpiece. And art historians will say this is nonsense. So what is beautiful is dependent on the society, is also dependent on the knowledge of how the people see it. We've all constructed, we've asked AI to generate for us a building based on certain parameters, right? And some people will see it and say this is ugly. Some will see it and say this is beautiful. But beyond that is the question of, for me, the function. I still don't, I've said it 1 million times, I still do not think that this class is a beautiful edifice. This place where air comes in and I've locked the door, it can't go out. It just looks as if you have been imprisoned in here. But that's me. But some other person will say, oh, it has a vent, that this vent is there and that the vent will suck out the air. But we all cannot see it the same way. And then the idea that this place is plastered, that one is not. Why are they exposing it? Maybe it's some kind of style, but I particularly don't like it. So we're going to, when we consider culture, and this article has it, it's both ethics, and these are philosophical issues. Ethics and aesthetics are all what you find in culture. Now, we have done living spaces and urbanization, and I've explained to you what that means. The next one, once you know a group of people, the next thing is that how do they produce what we call the mode of production? The mode of production. The mode of production determines the mode of social reproduction. I'll say that slowly, in case you want to write it. the mode of production, the way they make a living, determines how they relate to each other. The mode of production influences the mode, the way, the means of social reproduction, how you pass on information to each other, how you interact with each other, is what the mode of production is. The only language of capitalism is competition. Okay, I take away only. One of the pillars of capitalism is competition. And I have noticed as well that because the mode of production influences or determines the mode of social production, it is very difficult for American students to cooperate. There's always a competition. I'll tell you a story when I first came here. It was one of those 1-hour classes, and I gave everybody an A because they came to class. They were, for me, if you're punctual in class and you heard what I had to say, you did your assignment, quality is a different thing. And they all had A's. The 3 girls that worked their butts out were so upset with me that if I'm coming this way, they go that way. They felt, why should this boy, every time he opened his mouth to talk, he wasn't intelligent. Why did he get an A? I said, well, he came to class, he didn't miss any of the classes, he did all his assignments, you didn't see it, I saw them, and I approached each person based on their capacity. But they were so upset. It's a 1-credit class, it doesn't mean anything, but they were upset. Up to today, they haven't explained to me why somebody making an A, did it really devalue their own A? Or what has it got to do? These are individuals. So you always find in societies where the economic mode is competition. It permeates through the life, all through their lives. But what we will find out in the grassroots in Africa, in most of the countries on the African continent, is cooperation. I explained it when you want to build a house, for instance, you call your friends, and your friends will come and they build the house. You want to prepare the land for farming, they all will come, prepare it with you. It was not about profit. We were not interested in profit, and that's why sometimes some of the problems we have on the continent has to do with the fact that we're not sharks. We don't yet know how to price our goods in a way the West does. There are times when we have what is called the social capital. When 3 people come to the market, we look at one of them and say, this is the wife of a politician. She can afford it. So she pays $20. The wife of the laborer might pay $12. And then the wife of the working class might pay $15. When you put all what they have paid together, they find out that that's enough profit for them. It's not, they're not really, they think it's a social service. For me, standing here before you is both a social service because I am an agent of state. The reason why I stand here is that Florida State wants citizens to be able to obey deadlines. And the thing that after 3 years, when you have done it so many times, you will obey the time to renew your license, the time to file your taxes, and if you don't, you already know the repercussions. So that's what I am. That's one of the roles I play as an agent of. The other one I play which has nothing to do with you, is the spiritual. The purpose of which I came into the world is that I will one day have the opportunity to pass on information. What that information will do is not my own, I'm not to police that, but that this is the way we do. This is the way I have been brought up, to look at society, that you've got to contribute yourself, you have to contribute something to the society as you go along. So if you look here, you will see that I have moved from mode of production, cooperation, and explanation of who I am to this place, religion and belief system. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do that will take me out of that belief system. It's too late in my life. It guides my life, and it regulates what I do. Your evaluation is for the authorities. My evaluation comes every night after teaching. Colin, have you done your best? If you have done your best, there's a difference between satisfaction and success. Satisfaction is mine. So it is all here that part of the belief system has something to do with my belief. So in a secular society, how do I explain to people that I do my work based on something that is beyond what they can see? The metaphysics of it, meaning beyond it. I owe allegiance and I owe responsibility to things that are above me. What will happen to me after this class ends is none of your own anymore. It is now me facing that which can I stop being myself? Can I stop being, when my name, the name I carry around is a spiritual name. It reminds me every time that I come from a family where the divination is as important as anything else. I can't step out of it. It's not a jam. And these are the things that you will find in the article trying to explain. So there are at least six different definitions of culture in this article. You will get them. There are 6. The good thing about the 6 is that they don't all come on pages 1 and 2. You have to read it to the end to get the 6. So there are 6 different definitions of culture in the article. Your journal will be asking you to collect them, think through what it is saying. So you're going to collect the 6, look for them, and then what do you think it is saying? They all come from different perspectives to what culture is. Then the second prompt, does culture let us blend in or stand out? Every time I wear this robe, people stop me and say, where did you get this? What does it mean? Are you Muslim? And many times I would explain that no, this is a Yoruba attire. But why don't you wear jeans? Well, it's too expensive. I can't afford it. And as soon as I wear it, everybody knows how much I bought it, because you are also good at it. All you need to do is just look at the label and you run off. You can't look at the label of my own and know how much I bought it. So I don't blend in, I stand out. Does it bring discomfort? Yes. In my department, when I decide to wear shirt and trouser, somebody would ask me, oh, Colin, you're in normal clothes today. I said, well, I didn't know that what I was wearing was abnormal, but that is one of the things you pay for standing out. Is it something that Africans do? Most times, even when they're not by appearance, once they open their mouth to talk, you can always decipher that this person does not belong to the predominant group. So we're going to be looking at the third thing. What helps you think about your place in the universe? Because he talks about the place. You know, we're looking at the human beings on the African continent, and there's always a linkage with the universe. And when you were designing your buildings, you were supposed to design it according to the environment. Where is it that you want to put the building? Is it going to be in sync with the environment? And from there, we'll go up to what is your understanding of existence? Are you one of those who think that the earth belongs to you and you will do as you like? You need to understand what is your place in the universe. And the article explains that. Number 4. This person talks about Ibibio culture, but I'm not Ibibio. I'm not from that part of the world, but I'm from a part of the world which we call Yoruba. And for us, respect is the glue that holds the culture together. We don't demand it of others, but we make it one of the pillars of the Yoruba culture. Once respect falls apart, the culture will fall apart. In the language we use, the way we use it, respect is embedded. We don't do, if the president of this university comes in, most of you probably will sit up and look at him with some respect and greet him. In that case, the language I would use will be formal all through, and that shows respect. So it's a very big part of the values of people who live on the continent. And then there's a question of taboos. Somebody says there are prohibitions. We all have it, but the only thing is that in the American society, it's so secularized. The way you get it through experimentation and tests. And the easy way I can explain it to you is if a child is lactose intolerant, it is right from birth that they would take the amniotic fluid of the mother and find out that the child is lactose intolerant. Okay. So the taboos we have sometimes help us in conservation. And he explains all of that. There are times when you cannot fish at certain places. There are times when you cannot hunt in a particular place. It is all so that the land can regenerate itself. And there are certain foods that you should not eat. All of these help the land recover itself. You would read all of that in it, the various taboos. There are times when these taboos are not secular, they are spiritual, so that you can attain the level in which you're proposed to attain. Okay, so in the last class we had, the last article we read, I collected the countries that are mentioned in that, all the places the writer went, and the ethnic group. I'm adding this one now, one ethnic group called the Ibibio. They're an ethnic group in Akwa Ibom State in Nigeria. So I need to stop a while and explain to you what that means. You're supposed to take a country or two countries, look at cities that are outside of the cities that are outside of the capital, and then choose where you want to go. The purpose of that is simple. If we're talking about Africa, we all have gone past now that Africa is not a country. It's a collage of countries, so that is not a problem. The next thing is how much of a country do you know? So let me give you an opportunity for Nigeria. I will run through, and I had just 2 people come to class last week, and I was telling them the story of the different countries. We had Sierra Leone, we had Gambia, we had Liberia, and so on and so forth. I have a list of all of those countries. Nigeria is also involved. Nigeria was amalgamated in 1914, meaning that the northern part of Nigeria and the southern protectorate were brought together for the first time as an entity in 1914. From 1914 to 1960, the British were ruling. They were ruling in the north and they were ruling in the south. In 1960, Nigeria got its independence from Britain, and it had a flag, green, white, green. And in the last 64 years, they have been self-rule. So Nigeria went from regions. They had 6 geopolitical regions representing the predominant ethnic groups. Then they went to 12 states of the federation. And presently, as I talk to you, there are 36 states that make up the country Nigeria. Akwa Ibom is one of those 36 states. And in each of the states, there are various ethnic groups. This Yoruba culture that I talk about is the Yoruba people are found in Nigeria, but in the southwestern part of Nigeria. And they are Yoruba people. But beyond the Yoruba catchphrase, it's just like saying people of color. In people of color, you have African Americans, you have Latinos, and so on and so forth. So it's a bag. So the Yoruba is also a big bag, and it contains a lot of sub-nationalities that have their language. But in Akwa Ibom State, in Nigeria, is one of the 36 states. There's an ethnic group called Ibibio, and most of the examples given in this article is from the Ibibio. So at least you not only know about the continent, you know countries, then you know the division of the countries, that there are ethnic groups in each of the states, and they speak different languages. So let nobody ask you the question, is there an African language or is there a Nigerian language? There are languages. Is there an African culture? There are cultures on the African continent. So because of this group, the video in Africa, they have something they call the Fapne Room. It's 9 minutes, and I'm going to play it. You will see another idea. In the Western world and in Europe, Miss World must be somebody fair in complexion, slim, never short. I have never seen a Miss World that is below 5 feet. Not the 5 something. That is the idea, the conception of the Europeans and the Westerners about beauty. You must be slim. Once you cross over to Nigeria and go to Akwa Ibom, most parts of Nigeria, the idea of beauty must be a woman that has a lot of body. So they brought Africans from South Africa, from Ghana, they brought them all together to really shape them in the Fapne Room. Now, the interesting thing about culture is that most anthropologists, what they see is what they think is. What they're looking at, they think that is what is there. So when they hear about Fapne Room, they're always thinking oh, the women are there to be fattened. No, no, it's not about being fat. It's about what we call the rites of passage. One of the problems we have in the world today is the intergenerational crisis. What is intergenerational crisis? Parents do not know how to communicate effectively with their children. And even when they do, the children say things like, "Mommy, you don't understand. Daddy, you just don't know what it is about." But in the family room, we have what is called intergenerational. What you're going to see is a makeup, something that looks like the real, but it's not exactly it. So let me take the visual first. And if you have any question about any of the things, please just ask me. So let me go to that. If I do this. Okay, no. Okay. And then I'm also going to play the one in which you can read. There's an article like that, but it doesn't take long at all.
Thinking we start cutting carbs. I need to drop my belly back. Want to drop this? Start eating more of these.
Oh, hi. I'm Tabo and I'm from Botswana. I'm very excited to be here. This is my very first time. I'm looking forward to an enjoyable experience with the lady. All of them so pretty.
Hello, Kalaba. I'm Sally from South Africa. My expectations is to obviously see how, being a South African, to see what it's like to live and be with other Africans.
Hi, I'm Limpo from Zambia. Kalaba is beautiful and I'm excited about the bunch of women I'm going to be starting this journey with.
My name is Roslyn and I'm from Ghana and I'm hoping to enjoy this week. Hi, Kalaba. My name is Patricia and I'm from Kenya. I'm really happy to be here. I think I'm gonna have a lot of good adventures. I already gonna have good company.
I'm Kalaba. Debbie. I'm from Nigeria. I'm in my town. I love Kalaba. It's beautiful, amazing. Can't wait to have fun and chill with this beautiful, gorgeous, cute.
I feel like I'm going through a transition to a different phase in my life where I'm ready to move on to becoming a woman who's ready to settle down and maybe start a family. So I've always wanted to come to Nigeria, so I'm very excited. Yeah,
This is definitely a challenge and it's more of getting out of my comfort zone.
this is it. We're finally going to be going up to the family room. The only thing is that we must get the Bible.
The fattening is an ancient rite practiced by the culture of Nigeria when young women would enter a house of seclusion to learn everything a woman needs to know about running a household, raising children, and keeping her future husband happy at home. In older tradition, voluptuous women with wide childbearing lips were more than desirable. Tended having foot with large nails, they would fill out fast in the fattening room, reserved for women only. 6 young ladies from across Africa entered the fattening room on an adventure of self-discovery. They will learn the art of womanhood and the secret of keeping true love at the sake of finishing school. Experience the inner chambers of tradition on a journey back to the future of African authenticity. See 6 ladies become women. This is the fattening room.
This is all made up. No, the set, what you see is just a mirror of what the village looks like. This is not exactly what it looks like,
Ladies are guided
but it's in the village, but they created all of this.
to the new home awaits.
We were like, walked to this place, we were ushered into this place.
Why did no one tell Florida drivers about this new rule?
If you are currently insured, drive less than 50 miles.
Which is very new. I mean, every country has a village setting like this, but I haven't really lived in any village, so I don't really know what it is to be in an actual village setting. So this is like way over my head.
Wow, surprise. Surprise.
Our blindfolds got taken off and like these incredible dressed, tribespeople in front of us.
Ladies, welcome to Nigeria. Welcome to Calabar. Let me greet you now. Look down. Emedio. Emedio.
It's something that was just kind of like, I don't know, out of a movie, or that it's almost like it's acted, like it's not real.
I'm going to take you back in time. We're going to talk in club.
It really felt like, I wasn't sure if this was real life or this was like, it was like being in a movie. It was very surreal.
Let me introduce myself. I'm a Datot man, a Toti. So you can call me Auntie Daki. I'm going to be your host for this fattening room, and I'm going to be your matron.
We come to the fattening room from the blindfolding in the bus, which made it a little bit, what's going on, where we're going, very interesting. That is, starting off from the point where I was blindfolded.
Walking alongside with me, you have my assistant. She's called Kind Knight. She's going to be your friend. Why we are both here is because we both experienced the fattening room. So we are going to meet you.
We have your traditional toiletries. And this is scrubbing stone to make your legs supple. Everything that was put in the basket is of, natural fibers, natural ingredients. And you have the soap. It is made up of 11 secret ingredients, all natural. Let me now take a walk to your quarters where you're going to stay.
Village life with all the amenities from ancient times will prove a great adventure for the ladies.
The bed, the good lion, what actually is supposed to lie on the mat. The peacock feather, yard birds, I think maybe when you're food,
you're supposed to be very proud to know your feet. And we have the bush lanterns, our local lanterns. I don't know if you have it, so if you have a lantern, your mosquito nets. And outside, the water pot, whatever you want to put. And also to bathing. You have your lady in waiting, she will be there to bring you water.
Wow.
The fact that you have somebody with you all the time who knows how to use those things. I found that to be a comfort.
You see the box there, you are 6, the box there are 3. You're going to pair yourself in 2. Just choose anybody you like. Just make it snappy. Just do it now. Okay. As you do, you stand by your friend. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Remember, you can't say it was thought out in terms of who you're going to stay with. I mean, we were right there during introduction, and we were told that we needed to stay in pairs. And we were right there. It's like, okay, hey.
Now, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. The ladies in waiting are going to take you to the room. They are going to assist you. While you remove these modern things you're wearing, you take the local attire we are having, then you put it on. 10 minutes for the change of.
Yes. This is the village where when you hear the sound of the gong, it means your time is up and you are gathered here.
So you can go in now, please. 10 minutes, just 10 minutes, please. Okay, I'm just going to take
Drinking more water before bed flushes out blood sugar and reverses type 2. Thousands of people are apparently regaining.
It's a series. It's a series and you can get to watch them. But basically, I think the intro already tells us what to expect. And while it was on, let me just share with you, in case you didn't hear it, the place they're in, the state is called Akwa Ibom, but the place in which they're in is called Calabar. And this Calabar, over the times, people have made it an acronym, and it says, come and live and be at rest, Calabar. That's exactly what the place is. It's not the hustle and bustle of a city is not in, all right. 10 years ago, there was no hustle and bustle. It was a very serene place, very slow-paced city. And people moved from Lagos, from different parts of Nigeria to go to Calabar because it says, come and live and be at rest. What the ladies were doing, if you are what they call the helicopter researcher, your focus will be on the fact that they're going to increase their weight. That is about getting fat. But they're not going to get fat, all of them. There are people who their genes will not. But they're going to self-discover the whole essence of the rites of passage. And when I say rites, I mean R-I-T-S, rites of passage. This rites of passage is one of the things that we have lost with modernity, where children do not move from boyhood to manhood. And so, in the process, one of the things after the self-discovery is ladies become women. And so my question to you, and I'm going to give you the piece of paper again, how does a lady become a woman? That transition, how would you explain to somebody, how a lady becomes, just write what you think. Dylan, you can also, if you don't want to say how a lady becomes a woman, you can say how a boy becomes a man. What are the indicators how a boy becomes a man? What is the difference between a boy and a man? Well, how does a lady become a woman? Once we get this, we will understand what the fattening room is about. Self-discovery. What are you discovering in yourself that will transform you from being a lady to a woman? A lady, they said, those are grown-up people. They said after the fattening room, they will transform from being ladies to being women.
So like the R version of that?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think? How does the lady become a woman? I hope you saw the people there. They're not children. I don't think any one of them will be less than 25. And yet they say they are not women yet. How does a lady become a woman? Okay, while you're that. All right. How does a lady become a woman? Yes? If we're done, just raise it up, I'll come and collect it. How does a lady become a woman? How does a lady become a woman? Contain this one as well.
Qualities.
Yeah?
Qualities.
Oh, cool. Something qualities. Okay, certain qualities. Okay. How does, all right. These are Western, eh? These are Western ideas? Or you think they're general? They're more general, so they're universal?
Yeah.
What do you think? Is it general? Is it when he improvised? Okay. Are these general things or it applies to any culture, any society? It's general. Just put it there. Put it that it's general. Okay. All right, thank you. All right. And okay. She forms judgments and thoughts. As emotional psychology. Okay. All right. Let me just add this. Let me just add this before I pinpoint at what is here. When I started this class, I did say to you the reason why I do some of the things I do. The spiritual component, and you saw that little thing I wrote, all the lives of most Africans is also guided by their belief system. When you become a woman, you are at the threshold of spiritual maturity. I'll give you a very brief history from the perspective of the Western world, and I've said it before in this class. Women used to rule the world. And the whole idea of the Marriage Act is very recent. Women were the ones in charge. And one of the things that scared the Jesus out of men was that a woman could have a seed and it would become a living being. That was so scary to men that all their lives, what they wanted to do was to fluidify, make women a thing so that they would not fear them. Women, because they look like goddesses, just like the earth. Between a man and a woman, if you plant a seed in the earth, it will grow. And so we have a discipline called ecofeminism. It compares the development of a woman to also the development in nature. There is a convergence between human being and nature. It was something, and I'm going to use the African perspective and worldview, because they were like goddesses that you put a seed, and then over time, all the men were outside just watching. They see the stomach increase in size, and after a while, a living being comes out of it. It was the most scary thing, and nobody understood it. If you care when you get home, it took Dr. Maxwell to explain blood circulation. It's not, I don't think it's 100 years. The statue of the man is in a place called Folkestone in the UK. He discovered blood circulation. What you take for granted today. He didn't know it. When food got spoiled, 200 years ago, nobody had an idea that it was spoiled by bacteria. So when men looked at women, their eyes almost popped out. And these are goddesses. They don't look like us. And over time, they started to look for ways to take over control. And they felt that if a woman knew the secrets of how a society is governed, and also were able to produce children, then the men would be totally useless. In the West, and during the time of Enlightenment and modernization, what helped men was the introduction of psychology into advertising. So we never sold anything, we sold it to women, always thinking you are not good enough. Everything. So that if you apply cosmetics, the word cosmetics and cosmos, that thing outside of Earth and cosmetics, they have a relationship. So what they said was, if you put this makeup on, you look better. If you take this pill, you look younger. And once they were able to snatch away the depth, the psychological and spiritual depth of women, men were able to breathe in peace. But they're still not breathing in peace. Though most women have abandoned the spiritual course to spiritually develop themselves, and I have a good example here that at least as of 2024, April the 2nd, nobody ever thinks that part of the development and the growth of becoming a woman is also the spiritual component of it. A boy to a man, yes, the whole thing is about bravery. About bravery. One of the things, when you were 6, 7, Dylan, were you afraid of darkness? What did you think was in darkness?
I think it was like, I'm scared. I was in the darkness, it was unsettling.
Yeah. All children, no children. No, I don't know about females. Were you afraid of darkness? What was that? You didn't know anything, you didn't know why you were afraid. When did you conquer it? Have you conquered it? Oh, sorry. Have you conquered it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love swimming.
So, Fraser, what scared you in darkness? Oh, okay, sorry. Were you ever afraid of darkness? How did you overcome it? Huh? You have not. Were you ever afraid of darkness? Never. Darkness. Okay. Well, you see, that's the diversity. We all can't be the same. I peed on myself as a child because I was afraid of darkness. I couldn't get up to go to the bathroom because I felt that there were things that were moving there and they were going to hold my neck. And so I couldn't get up. So one of the rights of becoming a man was my ability to conquer darkness. So it's a development phase. The first thing boys learn to conquer is darkness. And from what I'm hearing, it looks as if the females also have to conquer darkness. It's the first physical thing, the outward darkness. The next one are nightmares. Nightmares. What our grandmothers did was that they told us scary stories. They told us stories about animals that took hot objects and put it in the nose of another. And we were scared still. The reason being that if in real life they have made us, they scared us, when we go to sleep and we have nightmares, we will be able to manage it. So one of the ways in which a lady, all right, let me preface it with this. In the African context, when you become a woman, you are starting to rise up to the spiritual ladder. As a woman, and this one's here, you are always a prisoner of time. You're looking back to the last time you had your period, and you're looking forward to when the next one will come. When you become menopausal, you stop looking back and looking forward, you start looking inwards. You become matrons. They are the ones who now understand how the elements and how the herbs work that can make things happen. So the very first thing is the physical, and then we're going to move to the spiritual. Once you have these two, the social will be the next thing. And what they do in the partnering ring is about the social. You have a husband, the husband has parents, and then in-laws. You need to learn how to cope with them. Who are they, and how do you cope with them? What do you do to subject them to your own control? If a woman can control herself, she can control the world. Or take that out. If any human being can control self, you can control the world. If you cannot control yourself, and you will notice that we're going to get very quickly to what is called the Yam Festival. When it comes to food, there's so much politics in food. There's self-restraint in food. When you learn how to control yourself is when you are in the presence of food. Let me deviate a little bit. Should you ever have a friend you want to meet who your friend is, a boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. Take that friend to a buffet and watch the person eat. Do you hear me? Did you understand? If you want to test, you want to know who your friend is. Take that person to a buffet, you pay for it, and watch them eat. 2 weeks down the road, take the person to a restaurant where they have to pay and watch their attitude. You cannot hide who you are in the presence of food. Hello? You cannot hide your inner self in the presence of food. Most people, who they are, if they are gluttons, if they are wasteful, buffet will show it. If they are insensitive, you would all see it in a buffet. And then when you go to a restaurant and they have to pay for it, you see the difference. So food, that's why that young festival, what does it do? Children learn to be who they are with food. In the first instance, when you eat in America, you eat more chicken than chips. In our case, we eat more chips than chicken. And you're not allowed to take the chicken until you have finished your food. You want it, but you have to learn self-control. So these are ways in which we teach. So let me run you through this. It's a very easy read. The factory room of Calabar. Where's Calabar? Calabar is in Akwa Ibom. Where's Akwa Ibom? Akwa Ibom is in Nigeria. In some African societies, being fat remains a symbol of status and power. You can't say, don't say that in America. Don't say that in Europe. But on the African continent, and why is that so? Why is being fat a status symbol on the continent? Look at this material I'm wearing. Everybody, look at this. You see how big it is? I cannot be skinny and wear this. I'm going to look like a scarecrow. Our designs are like this. The women wear what is called bubu. If you are thin, you will wrap around you like that. You need body. Our dances, when we dance, we don't dance. In your case, once you hear music, you go on your toes. We go on our heels. We need to go on our heels so that we can move all parts of our body in syncopation. They will be moving at different parts. That is our music and our dance. And why is that so? Because our ground is solid. We don't have slow. You have to, in relation to your environment, so that ballet you see, and you see them do something like they're working gingerly. It's in remembrance that in case you're dancing on slow, you better be gingerly and be able to control your balance. That's your dance. Our dance is always on the earth, compacted. So we're going to be like that. So when you hear that we are fat, don't think about health. Remember that if you're going to buy bread, you will jump into your car and go to the store. These people would walk and go and buy it and come back. They're constantly carrying things, they're constantly doing things, and all. So, being fat remains a symbol of status and power, despite well-known problems connected to obesity. In Nigeria, the rich can pay for special fattening rooms to put on extra weight. So BBC World Service Outlook program spoke to a couple who opted for such a service before their wedding. You know, BBC is looking at the wrong thing. BBC thinks it's about increasing weight. No, It is about seclusion. It's about self-discovery. Who am I? Do you know the extent of your temper? Do you know how emotional you can be? It is in situations when you have to share space with somebody you don't know. And you must learn how to control all of those. So it's not just about, they call it fattening room, but I think the translation of it would not really be focused on fattening. So let's listen to what this person, Happiness, has to say. In the morning, you eat fine, says Happiness Eden, recalling her time in the fattening room in the Nigerian city of Calabar. Calabar is in Akwa Ibom State in Nigeria. Akwa Ibom is one of the 36 states in Nigeria. After eating, you can take a shower or take a bath. From there, you can sleep. You sleep fine. You wake up, you eat, you sleep. Happiness attended the fattening center for a total of 6 months at the request of her husband, Maurice Eyo Edem, leading to their wedding. Now, what is happening here is, if you do not live where you have grandparents and other matrons, getting married is such a big deal because of the many transitions involved. Why a lot of crisis happens in marriages is because there was nobody there to guide them. Now we have marriage counselors, but they are always based in churches. I don't know whether professional marriage counselors that are secular, what are they going to be telling you? Or what do you want to hear from them anyway? Why are both of you going? But this one here is a school, a total school of life. And it happens before the wedding. Because the husband doesn't want to give a chance. Now, what I think you should be asking me is, what did the men do? Did the men go to fattening room? Or it's just women that need to be socialized? There is a secret cult called Ekpe. One of the greatest things a man can do is to be fearless. Learn to overcome fear. People say cowards are like fools. Can you imagine living with a coward and somebody knocks at your door? A thief knocks at your door and the guy you are living with just runs under the bed. The world will just shatter. You need somebody. And so bravery is one of the things. And the men learn it in different ways. You should look at the way the Kenyans do. So it's about rites of passage. It's not just the women. We're focusing on the women because it's more visual. And the secret societies, they don't really want you to see what they do. Or else it will just be, it will lose its value. If everybody knows what we do, we go through rituals. It really makes sense. It's like, is anybody here in a sorority? Anybody in a sorority or have a friend who's in a sorority or fraternity? Anybody? A friend? You have a friend who's in a fraternity? You don't have friends in fraternity. Not even sorority. You know what they are. What do they do? Eh? That's all. That's what you think you do. Does anybody know what they do in sororities and fraternities?
Kind of like networking and socializing.
That's all. But true and true, you don't know. You don't know. Huh?
My roommate's boyfriends are in
Fraternities. And what do they tell you?
They talk a lot about their, like,
I don't know, they live in the frat, so they kind of just hang out, they socialize, they do like,
You're not telling the truth.
they're,
You know what hazing is? You know hazing?
yeah,
What is it?
they like, it's like an initiation thing, so to like do things.
How can you ever be allowed to see an initiation?
Well,
Can you ever be allowed to see an initiation?
no,
So there's a secret part of it. And all fraternities and sororities, they have a special handshake. Do you know that? That they have a special handshake. You know that?
yeah, well, they tell,
Not too much.
I know.
I'm going to report you to them. Somebody's been snitching. Anyway, all fraternities have a special, let me show you one with that. There's a fraternity in Nigeria. No, can you see it? This is Anchor. This is showing Anchor. Once I hold his hand like that, he knows that I'm a member. If he doesn't respond by doing that, then he's not a member. That's the end of story. That's how we find out. Right? And that is the anchor point under the pirate confraternity. It is not only about hazing. There's a lot more than that. So the reason why you are not seeing what the men are doing, now that I've told you now, you see, I'm home, but the good thing is that at least he didn't respond. So that's fine. But when if he's able to respond and it would lead to a chain of other things. That's how it works. And if I had a case in court, with a judge, most judges belong to fraternities. I hope you know that. So all I need to do by the witness box is hold out 3 fingers like this. Nobody else will see it but the judge. Once he sees it, that's the signal. That's all. So if there's more to it, you call it networking, there's a lot more to it than that. All right, so I think I've answered the question why you're not seeing the men. You're not seeing the men because it's not secretive. And you're not even going to see all that the women go through here. Okay, so by the time she had come out, her body shape had changed completely to the delight of her husband. The average weight of a Nigerian woman is 60 kg. But happiness is well over twice that. So we say she's like 3 bags of rice. As a prince, Mr. Adam requires a particular large wife and adds that a slim wife would have more appeal for him. I don't think I would ever even do that, he says. People will think I'm not rich. If a woman is not fat and has not gone through the process, she does not qualify for marriage. After she has been fattened up, I don't like this English translation of it. It makes it look as if they are animals, fattened up. Because it's not about fattening, for crying out loud. It's a lot more than that. But what does the BBC know? This is what will sell. This is what the ignorant people that go there will focus on and think it's about food, and they start talking about obesity. They will not talk about the real essence, right? And so on, and it goes on like that. It's really not about this thing they talk about. It's deeper than that. So the other thing that I already started to talk about is this one, Yam Festival. You don't eat, when you start to harvest yam, you don't eat it before the king eats it. This is the discipline I'm talking about. And then the yam also matures a bit. There's a product called cassava. Cassava has a toxin in it that Africans have found a way using palm oil to fight that toxin. And you have to leave it to ferment. So it's not like, yeah, you just go to the store, you can buy it anytime you like. No, there's order and regulation to society, starting from food. In fact, in the food class I teach, I tell them, food, this is food. The spelling of food is friendly, opening of doors. This is the acronym food. This is what it stands. This is what it does. When you offer people food, you are opening doors. But it always looks like it's nothing. Food really is one of the ways in which you get, if you can eat my food, one thing stands, you trust me. When I used to teach this class, a few of the American students I had, they would put the food in their mouth in my presence. And when I'm not looking, they spit it out very quickly. Because they couldn't trust how, they see it, I prepared in their presence, not that I prepared behind them. But they couldn't trust the process of the preparation. They're not used to that kind of food. But if anybody takes food from you and eats it genuinely, that person is not likely to be your enemy. So the whole question of the Yam Festival is talking about food. And it goes beyond all of that. It talks about trust. If you recall the archaeologist we read, he said that, and architect Taiwo also reinforced it. We don't allow anybody into our houses. We don't just let them walk around. You have to earn the trust to be allowed to go deeper into the house. It's the same thing with food. We would offer you, you have a right to refuse. In Senegal, if somebody is eating and they ask you to come and eat and you refuse, they would ask you, are we quarreling? That's one. Two, you will notice that sometimes when there's time for evaluation, there are some teachers that will bring you food. Have you noticed? Anybody noticed? When there's time for evaluation, they bring you donuts or something. The reading on the African continent is that you cannot eat my food and curse me. Once I give you food and you take it, I have taken the power of cursing me from you. Because the elements that make up the food come from earth. You yourself, you come from earth. If you want to maintain your power to curse somebody or to say terrible things about them, don't eat their food, please. When they offer you food, you can put it in your pocket and throw it away. You dare eat it. The elements, because everything you eat is from the earth. You yourself, you're from the earth. If you want to maintain enmity with somebody, you want them to be your enemies, don't eat their food. You can't be an enemy and also eat the person's food. So in all of this, you will see that in the family room there's food, there's a lot of teaching. And if you watch those episodes, you will see what they tell them. Their skin, they show them foods that would affect their skin. They eat a lot of fruits, right? So that's These are the points you will find from this. One of the questions I asked, what is synergy? Synergy, I think, is from the word synchronized energy. Synergy. Synchronized energy, meaning cooperation. And you're going to find it's like mentioned 3 times in this. But let's see, what does a synergistic society? What is a synergistic society? The African society, we haven't mentioned this word yet, but there's a word in South Africa called Ubuntu. Ubuntu. In the Western philosophy, the idea of your being a person is based on the fact that you can think, you can reason. I think, therefore I am. On the African continent, because it's a communal society, we say, I am because you are. Your pains are my pains. You, as you're sitting there in different parts here, hardly can any one of you trace how related we all are. We play up more of our differences than our similarities. In the first instance, what links all of us in this class together is a state called Florida. We are all under the legislation of Florida. We are all oppressed or liberated by the regulations that come from Tallahassee. None of you can escape that. Tallahassee decides what you learn and how you learn it. Who can teach and who cannot. It's so far away, but all of us in this class are related along that line. Apart from the biology, which is who we are, but a synergistic society refers to a social system. That's social, because I always ask, do you ever know what social in social media is? It just means society media. The media that is done by the society at large. Anybody can do it. There are no gatekeepers. There are no editors. People just go there and write rubbish. And nobody can say, if you write rubbish, yes, Zuckerberg can put you in prison. What they will just suspend your page. But really, the social system, the interaction in which different component parts of a society, the entities or the individuals work together in a cooperative and mutually beneficial manner. It's not just because they want to do that. If they don't, they will fail. They will die when they don't work together in the grassroots area, not in the cities. People are individuals in the cities. So they work for their own mutual benefit, resulting in outcomes that are greater than the sum of their individual parts. That's very philosophical. And I'm going to deviate a little bit. The difference between the research methods in Europe and in America is what we call reductionist. If you want to find out about a human being, first find out about their cells, their tissues, their organs. And then all those parts never add up to a human being. Because you know how the organs function will not make you understand how the whole human being functions. So the sum total of the parts never approximates to the whole. But it's just one way of research in this empiricist society. But there are others. I just call and ask you. I just asked you now. I asked 4 of you. What do you think makes a man, a lady to transform into a woman. And all of you, in line with the society in which you are, were either in the physical realm or in the cognitive or the affective. Nobody ever wrote anything about the spiritual. Because it doesn't, you can't measure it. It's not observable. But for somebody who was born in it, grew up with it, it's what it is. So it results in outcomes when we work together that are greater than the sum of what each individual is doing. In a synergistic society, there is a recognition of the interdependence and interconnection, connectedness of various elements, and efforts are made to leverage the interconnectedness to achieve common goals and promote collective well-being. I don't know any one of you that has ever heard about a poet called John Donne. John Donne. John Donne says, every day diminishes me. And the truth of the matter is that when you hear that somebody is dead and it's not a relation of yours, you don't really, what's my business? But for every person that has died on the surface of this earth, there's something that they have taken away that we cannot get again. And so, when an elder dies on the African continent, we say a whole library has been burnt down. Why? Because what we do is that we only one of the ways we do is transmit knowledge from one generation to another, orally. In your case, I think you read. You read history, your parents talk to you, but your friends, I think, have more powers about what you know about life than any other person. Your parent, and then the internet. I was not born in the age of internet. I was born at a time when, if you wanted to know, you either go to your parents or you go to the priest, and they would tell you what they know. It was not commercial. They simply told you. Because what you know will contribute to where society heads to eventually. Okay, so let's look at some of the elements of a synergistic society. Because once you understand that, this article will make sense. It's not an individualistic society. And I must say this, at my age now, I have come to respect individualistic societies. My neighbor, the person who lives directly next to me, has never popped into my house, never. And I seem to enjoy it now. I seem to like it. It looks like it's the norm. It's real. Mind your business. And I mind mine. And I don't even want to know what they do in their house anyway. But because I've lived here long enough, I bought the idea. But where I come from, they won't even tell you. My sister flew all the way from Nigeria to London and called my brother from the airport. I'm at the airport. And he said, since when? You didn't even tell me you were coming. And she said, do I have to tell you? That is the way we were brought up. People will have to be there for you, whether they like it or not. But it's just a different society. It's not that it's better. All right, so let's look at collaboration. Individuals, groups, and organizations collaborate and cooperate. And long before now, we don't have cooperative societies in America. You have shops that are called co-ops. Yeah, there's none in Gainesville here. Do you have cooperative societies here? Anybody where you live? Well,
All or our corporation?
no, they're called co-ops. They're stores where they buy things in bulk and then they sell it less than what the chain stores sell it. Sam's Club, well, you have to buy bulk in Sam's Club too. You can't buy retail. They sell the thing. I have the card. You have to pay for that card. In a cooperative shop, no cards. You just go in. You just buy one. Like Dollar Tree, yeah. Dollar Tree. Yeah, you can buy chips. You can buy cheap things in Dollar Tree, but they don't last. Yeah, they're like things that the rich have rejected and they take them to dollar store. The same thing with Save a Lot. Does anybody know the shop called Save a Lot? Save a Lot. Okay, good. I'm happy you don't. Because if you go to Save a Lot, the food don't last. After 7 days, it starts to eat itself. So there are shared values in this synergistic society. A synergistic society is often guided by shared values and principles that prioritize cooperation. Cooperation is at the top. It's not about profit. It's about if you survive, I will survive. And there is a relationship between teachers and students. The relationship is that if there are no students, then there's nobody to teach. So we need each other. And there's a power balance between both of us, which I've been talking about since we came. The professor does not have the power to give you grades. If you think that, just throw it away. You will earn your grade according to the laid down rules by Tallahassee. It's not something that is subjective. It's very scientific. You miss class, you miss a point. You don't do this work, it's all like that. When there is diversity and inclusivity, that looks like oxymoron. Usually when you talk about culture, we're talking about an in-group, things people do and understand. There are things that happen in a culture that you will not know about. A synergistic society embraces diversity and recognizes the value of different perspectives, experiences, and backgrounds. It actively promotes inclusivity, meaning let people be a part. Because you're different does not mean that you are better or less. You're just different. So we have to remember that because the African culture is different from the American, does not make the American culture worse or bad. It's just different. And all Africans are asking is that please recognize that we do things differently. And we recognize the fact that we do things differently. Let's not get into this habit of one is better than the other. No, it's just different. So innovation and creativity happens in such societies because they help each other. They support each other. I have an idea. I think it. Somebody runs with it. Synergistic societies encourage innovation, creativity, and out-of-the-box thinking. They provide opportunities for experimentation and exploration. You see this exploration and experimentation. The Western world uses Africa most of the time as guinea pigs, where they go and experiment ideas. If it fails, that's it. If it succeeds, they take it and repackage it and send it back to the African continent. That's what it's always been. But the synergistic society is such that we may not have labs where we test the strength of materials, but the fabricator, the person who makes it, also uses it. So on the continent, you have people who are farmers and they're blacksmiths. So when they make a hoe, they use it, they can determine whether the handle should be longer or shorter. And that's their own lab. In this place, at UF, you will subject it to stress test. You will do this, you will do that, you will do that. But the person who makes it uses it. And fostering an environment where new ideas can flourish and lead to solutions of complex challenges. We've talked about empowerment and equity. There is a commitment to empowering individuals and communities, particularly those who have been historically marginalized or disadvantaged. Synergistic societies strive to address inequalities and promote equity. Equity here, in my own book, I call it impartiality. Fairness, to promote fairness. But you know, the world is not fair. You know that. We strive to be fair, but the world cannot be fair. There's no amount of trial we do. The world can just not be fair. But at least let's try. Let's make an attempt at equity. And there's always this cartoon where we see, people trying to watch a game and somebody putting boxes below so that the other person can see it. If there is anything about resilience and adaptability, it is in a society, you see, it's different from an egalitarian society. The fluke is that in a democracy, there will be an egalitarian society, meaning equality. No, I don't even want an egalitarian society. I just want one that is fair, where there's a fair and a level playing ground. And don't judge me by the color of my skin, judge me by the content of my character. If that's all I can get, I'm happy. I can think, I can flourish, I can prosper. But when I'm constantly judged by the color of my skin, bless you, it doesn't even give me an opportunity to be myself. Synergistic societies are resilient and adaptable, capable of responding effectively to changing circumstances and emerging challenges. They value flexibility and agility, recognizing the need to continuously learn. So you put yourself in this perspective. What do you want to learn? Are you happy about what you already know? Or do you want to learn more? There's no limit to learning. And the thing I hate about school is that somebody has to grade you to find out what you learn. That is my only quarrel with school. I wish people came to school like what they did in Sarasota. We just sit in class. We just talk. We just enjoy it. And the only way I would know is your contribution. When you make intelligent contribution that are not things that I told you. That's what I like. I don't like this. I don't like grades at all. Because it doesn't tell me anything. People sometimes just go and memorize everything and then pour it down. Now, it will work in a society that is working in sync. Okay. Overall, a synergistic society embodies the idea of collective synergy, where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. By harnessing the power of collaboration, shared values, diversity, innovation, synergistic societies seek to create more inclusive, equitable, sustainable communities for all members. Sustainability does not mean that you can do it, you did it this year, you can do it next year. Sustainability is both social, economic, and ecology. If what you're doing is in consonance with the environment, then it is sustainable. If what you're doing is economically prudent, then it is sustainable. And then you're not putting profit over people. Okay, I have 11 minutes. I'm not going to use all the 11 minutes. I just noticed that in this write-up, in the article, he talks about how the society is policed. And then I asked myself, before the advent of police institutions, how were societies managed? Eva, which one was in Adam in the Garden of Eden? Yes.
Angels and demons, and fucked up, ate a fruit, got punished. There was always an overseer that time.
Okay, but you see, they were not the kind of police you saw with your eyes. They were not present constantly in your communities driving around. The whole institution of policing was once we started to have a form of government. We in the African continent, there were no prisons. We didn't have prisons.
You had kings and soldiers who would overwatch.
Yes, but you see, the society policed itself. There's this thing they always ask me. My mom would always say, are you doing the right thing because I'm watching you? Or you're doing the right thing because it is right to do? You remember what I said? That once you can control yourself, you've conquered a whole lot of stuff. If you can do things because it is right, not because somebody wants you to do it, that is first level of self-policing. You don't need people to, it's a failure of society that makes us very police. Something somewhere fell apart. And you know what it has also become? In the translation for police in Nigeria, in Yoruba culture, sorry, is that a man who holds a truncheon, just a stick, that was all they had. The police in America, all they had were truncheons and handcuffs. Now it's been militarized. They now have armored tanks and armored cars and stuff and all. No, what are you? It's not a battle. It's not a battle. It is just, in fact, what the police should do is to prevent you from committing the crime. But let's not take too much about that. Yeah, maybe the police have always been, but these are the things that for us, and we will read it here, the traditional authorities. Many African societies had traditional rulers, chiefs, or kings who held significant power and authority. These leaders often acted as the primary enforcers of the law, apart from what they did, right, within their communities. And in the Yoruba way of governance, you cannot have a king of Gainesville. Gainesville is too big to have a king. You will have a king of Alachua. You will have a king. There are only small communities that you can superintend. And then you will have officers working for you. And then we had customary laws and codes. These were just like natural laws, really. They were not things in the statute. And up till today, there's always a disagreement between the colonial laws that were set out, or what you call the British system of jurisprudence and the traditional laws and codes. Everybody knew it. You knew you shouldn't fish there. But the people do it, they did it, but they will pay for it. All right, and then what they call the community policing. Communities themselves played a crucial role in policing and maintaining order. It was not just one person in uniform and stuff and all of that. Then the secret societies, remember I told you about the secret society. One of the things a man should learn how to do is to be brave. Don't be squeamish. But I would also say women too should be brave. I think human beings should just be brave. End of story. But we all have our roles in division of labor. If you ask me, anyone can be brave, I don't care. But don't be a coward at the same time. Let the woman not be a coward, let the man not be a coward. But maybe the degree of being brave will be different. What you can handle. I mean, once I see blood, I will pass out. There are no two ways to it. I can't survive. Once I see, I don't even go near accident things because I will be one of the, that's why I didn't study medicine anyway. So there's the secret societies and the initiations. If you're not a member, you cannot see what the initiation is about. And don't try and see it anyway, because you devalue it when you go and poke your nose in what the initiation is, because you want to know. There are certain things you should restrain yourself from knowing. If you want to be a member, go and join. Restorative justice. And then let me run to 6 quickly. Divine or spiritual intervention is one of the ways in which we police our societies. In some cases, religious or spiritual beliefs influenced concepts of justice and punishment. I have a friend in England, we have this saying, if somebody hurts you, God is not going to be there for you to see when that person is being punished. She doesn't like it at all. Most human beings want to see when revenge, when God takes revenge and the person is crying. No, you become the person that has hurt you when you are happy at their downfall or their punishment. Beware, this is where I'm going to end it. Beware that whatever you sow, you will reap. It is Western, it is European, it is African. That, I think, is universal. Whatever you sow, you will reap. Physically or spiritually. If you hurt somebody, it might not take 2 days. It might take 2 years. It might take 20. But definitely, karma will always come back. And that's Oriental. But for the African, I always say to people, don't look forward to the time that the spirits or the divine will revenge on your behalf. And don't rejoice when somebody is being punished for an offense. Okay, so we've gone through it. What is now left for you is, do you know where you can find this article? Eh? Yeah, African culture and values. You know where to find it? Yes. Thank you. I'll see you all on Thursday. If you have any questions, just let me know.